Okay, I believe it is time to get familiar with our friends. We have not talked with them, not a lot. This might be a good moment to do so. Let's talk with Regonar first. What do you want? Have a little chat? Alright, it's not like we have anything better to do. Tell me about yourself. What is there to know? I was born. I'm alive. Haven't died yet. That's enough for you? Do you remember your childhood? Regonar scowls. What a crap question. I was just a kid when they sold me. Before that, I don't remember much. Smoky fires, stinky heights, always bumping along on a horse. I think I was born in one of the Kelly tribes of Numeria. There are many. Some survive on their own, some give up their pride and serve the Technic League. I guess mine was one of the cowards if they sold their own kids. I remember my father's hands. Rough, scarred, white. So I guess I get this green sting from my mother. But I don't remember her. I think I remember playing with another half-orc child. A brother maybe. For some reason they didn't sell him, just me. Father gave him his dagger to play with, never gave it to me. Ugh, I don't want to remember. Forget all this. I'm an orphan. Regonar waves his hands wryly. I grew up as a slave. That I remember well. So many things burned into my memory. Most of all, I remember her, my Octavia. Today we are almost the same age, but back then she was twice as young as me, just a child, but a brave one. Cunning, bold and beautiful, the most beautiful girl in the world. What deity do you worship? Ha! I never got much help from the gods so far, but if you make me choose, I'd say Calistria. Who else could I worship? The favorite Sting, the goddess of pleasure, fun, and revenge. Oh yeah. Where did you get your magical powers? What magical powers? The hells are you talking about? Oh, you mean these? Regonar makes lightning run over his hands. With content smile, then snaps his fingers, invoking a shower of lightning sparks. I've had them since I was born. At least one thing I can thank my scum parents for. Maybe these powers are why they sold me to slavery. Think they were scared? Who knows? Damn Numerians. At the Technic League, they drew my blood, did experiments, burned me with fire, tortured me with cold, electricity, and they told me, you won't believe it, they told me I have a blue dragon blood in my veins. Okay then. Not bad, huh? Nope. I'm a dragon, you freaks. Come check my blood if you dare. Grinning, Regonar strikes his palms with a fist and another fountain of electric sparks shoots upwards. What do your tattoos mean? They are magical. They help me control my powers. The Technic League gave them to me. I'd hoped that somewhere on my body there was at least one sign left by my tribe, but no. I guess they didn't care to bother. To hell with them. They better hope I never find them. If I ever meet my father, I will even the scores between us. And this is an interesting question. How do you manage to use both a sword and magic and not cut off your fingers? Ha 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 ha! It's simple. I'm just that bloody good. The half-orc gives a contented grin. Do you enjoy making people suffer? Yeah, he is chaotic evil. Pfft, what should I care about their suffering? I do what I want. If I step on someone's toes, then they shouldn't have put themselves in my way. But chasing someone down just to torture them? That's only entertainment for maniacs like the Technics League. Well, on a second thought, for them I would make an exception. I'd love to watch as I fry them nice and slow. But why do you ask? Do my methods shock you? Yeah. Well, neutral good. Nothing else actually works for me. If you treat your enemies like that, what makes you better than them? And why would you think I want to be better? What does that even mean? I have no delusions of purity. I don't need to prove myself or my enemies that I am better than them, morally, spiritually, whatever. I just want them rotting in the ground so I can live, drink wine, and piss on their graves. Good man, thank you for your answers. Thanks, don't fill a purse. I'm just kidding. Tell me about your life in Numeria. You mean my life as a slave? I didn't see much except for the slave barracks and the League's twisted laboratories. How did you happen to become a slave? Well, he already actually told us that. I was sold by my own tribe when I was just a little brat. So I grew up in a slave barracks. I was raised to be sold like a battle animal. They tried to break me, but they picked the wrong brat. No matter how much they beat this animal, he only got angrier. Why did your masters teach you magic? Can't you guess? Because magic is in my blood. It is why they bought me. I wasn't raised as some lowly mob slave, but as a murder machine. I'd fetch quite nice sum of gold. You might also ask if they knew I'd take first opportunity to rip their own guts out using everything they taught me. Ha! Of course they did. But that's the Technics League. They calculate risk. Octavia kept pretending to be simple-minded so they wouldn't expect anything of her, but I made every effort, though they didn't teach me much. What is there to teach? It's not book magic, it's innate. They made me practice with my sword more, but I did my best in everything. I studied all I could. They knew they were raising an enemy, but they thought they could keep me on a short leash, or sell me to someone with deep pockets so I'd become someone else's problem. But who won in the end, huh? Who is free? Who will bury them all? What else did you see beyond your life in chains? What could I have seen? Well, when we ran, we went through Starfall. That's a fine city. Big, loud, many merchants, things to see, things to steal. But I didn't have much chance to walk around. It's the very nest of the Sorting Technics League. We were focused more on getting out alive. We met some barbarians. I asked them who might know what tribe I am from, but they didn't know anything. I don't have any tribal tattoos. Nothing. Actually, they are alright. Well, some of them. The Bullard guards, for once, they are great. All the rivers are theirs. We sailed with them during one of our escapes, almost all the way to Brevoy, and they didn't turn us in. But the White Scars got us after that. Those guys are shit. They've sold their pride to Technics League. Oh, one more thing. One time Octavia and I tried to escape and stumbled across Numerian monster. I'll never forget it. A huge spider the size of a house, made of metal, spitting fire, shooting deadly rays all around. That thing could probably tear even a dragon to pieces. Ruined our escape plans too. We had to go back. Did you and Octavia try to escape? What do you think? Of course we tried. I stopped counting how many times. Jumped from windows, dug tunnels, choked out guards, or seduced them. That happened too. Ha ha ha. But those dirtbags got us every time. Every bloody time. My back is covered with whip scars. Lucky we were prized property. They didn't spend too much gold on us to kill us. They'd spend too much gold on us to kill us. Anyone else would be hung and forgotten, but they kept trying to break us and recoup their expenses. I don't know whether I could have survived by sheer stubbornness if it weren't for Octavia. I probably couldn't have. I would have just given up and died. But I had to pull my girl out of that meat grinder, and she believed in me, and had enough hope for both of us. When I lay there with my back slashed to pieces, she whispered to me about river kingdoms where there's no slavery, where everyone can go wherever they want and take whatever they want. I'll be damned, but I thought she was just making this up to keep our hopes alive, and now it turns out to be true. All of it, every last word. No chains, no slaves, no laws, just live and be happy. Is slavery legal in Numeria? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. There are some laws against it, but even in Starfall, a third of the people live in bondage, and that's the capital. In region where Black Sovereign's hand doesn't reach, they hold to tribal customs instead of laws. The barbarians don't keep slaves, instead they have trolls. Big bloody difference. And on top of that, all mess the techniques leak. Law and custom mean nothing to those slime balls, they just take whatever and whoever they want. Thank you for your answers. Ask away. What kind of relationship do you have with Octavia? Well, my Octavia and I don't have a relationship. We have a life together. How did you meet? Back when we were children, we were taken as apprentices by a great spellmaster Janusz. Maestro Janusz, he calls himself. He was our teacher. Well, he made Octavia read books and memorize spells. I have my own innate magic. He trained me a bit, taught how to control my gifts, so I wouldn't lose control and incinerate myself like a dumbass. Oh teacher, we will meet again. There's one more test I must pass. You are a grumpy, you don't like him either, it seems. But you were asking about my Octavia. We've been together all of our lives. We learned everything together, how to weave magic and how to survive. And as we grew older, we learned how to love. Without each other, we would never have gotten out there, that's for sure. We would have given up and surrendered to death. But together, that's a very different story. Not the first time and not the 10th, but eventually we made it out. Why do you call her yours? She doesn't seem to like that very much. My girl loves freedom so much, and even slightest chance of losing it frightens her. She's so smart. Do you really think she feels like I'm trying to make her mine, like an apple stolen at the market? Me, who was skinned alive for trying to help her escape? If she's afraid of the word my, it's because she doesn't understand the difference between my boot and my heart, but she will understand, sooner or later. Are you and Octavia faithful to each other? Octavia and I are connected, and this connection cannot be broken. We grew into each other, you know. Jealousy is for weak cowards, who don't trust each other and are scared of being tricked. If a knight on the side threatens your love, that just means there was no real love to begin with. Good point. She and I are together, to the end, and we will never part from each other, so when she likes some lad or some lass, it's no drama to me. I just ask her whether she wants me to leave them alone or join in, and she does the same. Ha ha! What? Are you judging us, or maybe you just want to join us in our tent, The half-orc grins. Is that an invitation? Well then, maybe I will. Is that so? Haha. Regonar measures you with an openly lustful look. I will think about it. Yikes, can I take that back? Thank you for your answers. Don't mention it, and I'll have to go. So long. If you want to know anything else, just ask. Don't be shy, just don't pale when I answer. I like you. Hello! Octavia smiles at you flirtatiously. Got any good news? Could you tell me about your childhood, please? Octavia sighs. Too little, some scraps of memories, no more than that. What exactly do you remember? Octavia reflects on that, tapping her finger against her cheek. Nothing special, some images of a faraway past. That's all. I do remember wooden table legs. The paint on them was peeling off, and I was standing on my toes, trying to peek at what was on the table. I remember the wild rose by the window. It kept me up at night, scratching the glass with its gnawed branchlets. I do remember my mother's blue dress. It was a trifle battered, but it smelled of lavender. Octavia wrinkles her forehead. I guess that's all. Not much there, right? All those memories. It's like they're not mine at all. I recall some images and I know I should feel something about them, but I don't remember what exactly I should feel. So let them rot in a swamp with Dal's wounds. My life's good enough without them. What do you know about your parents? You're an half-elf, right? Am I? Octavia examines herself as if seeing herself for the first time. You know, I think you might be right. I am rather slim and tall, and I can see well in the dim light. She raises her hands and touches her ears. Aha! They're a bit pointy. Yes, I'm definitely a half-elf. Let's think about this logically. So my mother was an elf and my father was a human. Or maybe it was the other way around and my mother was a... Finally Octavia can't take it anymore and bursts into laughter, having spoiled her own act. So that's it! Now you know as much about my parents as I do. Do you remember how you were enslaved? I clearly remember the man who took me away from my home. He was big, with a huge potbelly and shaggy beard. I was afraid he would eat me. Octavia shrugs. Anyway, he didn't stay with me long. He gave me to his slave accomplices and I never saw him again. When my mother was giving me to him, she was crying. I can still barely hear her quiet voice, but I can't recall her words or her face behind the tears. Just that lavender smell. It tickled my nose and I wanted to sneeze. Did my mother sell me into slavery? But then why was she crying? And if she didn't want me to be a slave, why didn't she try to save me? Octavia twirls her hair, pondering over the thought, then sighs. One more riddle from my past that I do not care to solve. It must be horrible being unable to recall your childhood. Oh, I recall my childhood in rather bright details. It was spent in dirty barracks. I wore flea-infested rags and slept on a straw mattress instead of a proper bed. Octavia smiles humorously, though I understand what you mean. You know, to be honest, I'm not sure I want to remember my childhood before slavery. If I could remember what I lost, it would probably just bring me more pain. So it's good that I don't remember much of anything. What will you tell me about your life in slavery? I don't like to recall it, but if you insist. The slavers from the Technic League tried to ruin my life, but all they could do was ruin my childhood. How did you happen to find yourself in the Stolen Lands? My enslavers from the Technics League funded a large expedition into Stolen Lands. 100 agents, tens of slaves, wagons. We were to search some ancient artifact or ancient ruins. Our group never made it to Technic League hideout. Along the way it was attacked by the future owner of the Stolen Lands himself, and I'll be forever grateful to him for it. And that would be me. Did you have many masters over the years? Yes, many of them. Some owned me for years and others felt they had enough on me in a couple of months. Trust me, I did all I could to make every master eager to get rid of me. A slave that's trained in magic is a rather expensive thing, so they wouldn't kill me. At least that was the hope. So I drooled and played an idiot. And I listened as every new master argued with my former one, trying to return me. Sometimes I punctured the pages of magic books I was forced to copy with a quill. Other times I pretended to mix up the spells, so instead of lighting a magic torch, I set dozens of dancing lights floating just below the ceiling. Of course, most of the tricks of mine usually ended badly. I got punished on regular basis. My back still remembers the master's whips, though all my scars from those times are long gone. Where did you learn to use magic? Oh, I was taught magic by Janus of Starfall, one of the most famous wizards in Numeria. Maestro Janus, as he insisted on calling himself. Octavia's voice overflows with contemptuous sarcasm. Anyone would be happy to learn from such a great master, and only a talentless bitch like me would dare to reject his teaching and include in her laziness. At least that's what Maestro Janus used to repeat constantly while whipping knowledge into my back. The great Maestro was a big fan of punishment. They technically didn't care if a few slaves died under the Master's whip, as long as Maestro Janus provided an arcane-trained one in return. Obviously, there's no slavery in Numeria, but the Technic League is above any law. A slave with the aptitude for the arcane is worth much more than a regular one. The slave's repertoire is limited to the simplest and safest spells, of course. Have you ever tried to run away? What? That's a silly question. What's a silly question? Of course I tried. As soon as we saw even the tiniest opportunity to get free, Reg and I grabbed for it. On one occasion we jumped from the cart into the river. There was time when we spent weeks trying to dismantle a four wall on the barracks and make our path out. Sometimes we attacked our guards when they least expected it. We craved freedom. We lived only to dream about it. Those short days, sometimes weeks, that we spent on the run were the happiest days of my life. We used to hide in the woods or blend in with the crowd on the streets of Starfall. Midnight stars were our guiding lights, and we shared our dreams with them to reach the river kingdoms, for in these lands there were neither slaves nor masters. We were starving and freezing, but that was the real life. Too bad it usually ended too soon. The Technic League agents always found us in the end. I don't know how they managed to do it. They probably used magic, or maybe it was just our fate. They whipped us and returned us to our old masters, or sold us to the new ones, if the old ones refused to pay. So we were slaves again, but the dream about the river kingdoms never left our hearts. Have your masters ever hurt you? You figured that out, didn't you? Or maybe you want to hear all about the beatings I survived, the humiliations I've endured. Imagine the worst thing one person can do to another and multiply it tenfold. That's what happened to me nearly every day in slavery. Masters, oh how I hate the word! Octavia shakes her head furiously, making her locks dance. They punished me because they wanted to hurt me, but what hurt even more was the mere fact of their existence. Octavia stops you, gently touching your heart. Wait, I want to tell you. The Technic League agents you rescued us from, Reg and I tried to run away many times, but they always managed to find us eventually. I have no reason to hope that this time they've lost track of us for good. I won't let those filthy slave traders to take you again, just let them try. Yes, we'll chase them to the border, we won't see them through the dust. You performed a chaotic good action. Still, I'd like to find them first. What kind of relationship do you have with Regonar? We're together. The way you said we're together sounded unconvincing. Is something wrong? You noticed? Well, I didn't mean that. Now I'll have to explain. I'm not sure I know how to put it correctly. You see, Rex seems to treat me like his property. He's always kind to me, and it feels good when we travel together or when we share a blanket at the campsite, but he always calls me my Octavia. I've told him over and over that I don't belong to anyone, that I'm my own, that I stay with him by my own free will. He only grins when I say that. I bet he likes to think that I'm his. Never mind, though I'll sort it out somehow. When did you meet Reg? Years ago, when I was studying magic at Maestro Janus's. Reg was his student too, though you couldn't actually say he was really studying anything. Red had his own ways to cast spells. He never needed Maestro's instructions. You see, unlike wizards, Reg draws power directly from his innate bloodline abilities. Janus didn't realize the nature of Reg's power when he took the young bow as his new student. And when he finally understood them, he just taught the negligent half-orc to control his power to avoid harming himself or the others. Reg and I have been together ever since. We could both use magic, but more importantly, we both craved freedom. We used to vow to each other that someday we'd break free from the unbearable captivity or die trying together. Octavia gives you a warm smile. I guess it's good that we fulfilled only the first part of that vow. You owe him much? I don't like this O word. I don't owe anything to anybody. Everything I do of my own free will. But to answer your question, yes, Reg has done a lot for me. I can't count how many times he was whipped by my masters because of me, how many times he took the blame for my doings. He never complained when they dragged him, beaten and covered in blood, to the slave barracks. He just groaned and clenches his fist while I bandages his wounds with scraps of my filthy clothing. We've always been together, my whole life, as slaves and as free people. I wouldn't be me if not for him. The fact that Reg is so impulsive doesn't bother you? Ah, that is a very delicate matter. Reg means a lot to me and he endured a lot for me, but some parts of him just scare me. He becomes extremely bloodthirsty when it comes to slavers. Don't get me wrong, I hate slavers with all my heart, and I'll do a lot to cleanse the world of their filth. But Reg, he'd do anything. Understand? Absolutely anything. I'm afraid that anger might kill everything good in him. I've attempted to talk to him about it many times, but he just won't listen. He becomes even angrier after our conversations. Let's change the subject. I have to ask, how do you manage to look so gorgeous even when we are out in the middle of nowhere? Have you noticed? My appearance is the result of daily effort and it's not easy. Do you know how much time it takes to create good makeup or to mend a dress even with the help of magic? I can't say I do. So if someday you wake up early, an hour before dawn or so, you can actually check on me. You'll see how I prepare myself for a new day. You sure put a lot of effort into this, but the result makes it worthwhile. You bet! You know, I like to feel attractive even while we're on the march. It feels so good to be a beauty in a group of barely washed and extremely reckless young gentlemen. You're my thorns and I am your rose. Octavia jiggles. You worship Calistria, right? Yes, many slaves survived only thanks to their faith. Some lived hoping for a day when a good deity would deliver them. Some even offered deals to the evil gods, but me and Reg, Calistria has taught us the most important things. Expect no gifts from above. Rely only on ourselves. Never forgive those who wronged us, but at the same time, savor every droplet of pleasure we could squeeze from our bleak days. I'm amazed how after all your hardships you still remain so cheerful and optimistic. Octavia's smile fades a little. I try not to view my life as a never-ending course of sufferings. Yes, I've had my share of hard times, but do I need to recall them? After all, along with the bad things, I had some good things as well. I had a dream and I followed it, and eventually it came true. Following that path, I met Reg and you. Now I'm free and surrounded by friends. Why do you need to find the Technic League agents? I broke free from slavery, thanks to you. I've obtained everything I dreamed of, my freedom and the opportunity to control my own life. I want to use this opportunity to fight the Technic League, at least the part of it that operates here in the Stolen Lands. I wish to free all the slaves from their Technic League masters. I do believe that while we are together we can achieve a lot, even this. You bet that I'll help you, girl. Alright, we'll talk later. Sure, come anytime.